listening to the presentations from others, three questions have come to mind. One is, are we preparing students to challenge AI or to follow it? And I like the word about challenging AI, and I will tell you how I do that. Another question that comes to mind is, what happens when students rely on AI more than rely on each other? So in the simulation, I use the strategic management and policy simulation. The teamwork, effort, and experience is vital for them to grow as a professionals. A third question that came to mind is if AI can generate a strategy in seconds, and we have tried that before, of course, what does it mean to understand strategy truly? I spent 10 weeks. We are a quarter-based system, Walla Walla University. And the end of the quarter is when I can see the students, wow, I got it finally. And we love that eureka time in students' faces. So I will talk about, that's the title of my presentation, AI as a strategy copilot. And the focus is going to be in terms of how AI how I treat AI, not as a shortcut or a replacement for student thinking, but as a strategy co-pilot. So I will explore how pairing AI with proven strategy frameworks, business frameworks, business models, and theories increases student engagement. And I love to see how the decision making is improved as well, and how it helps the students think more critically and more importantly, adaptively in simulated business environments. As artificial intelligence becomes an integral part of the business world, we educators know that we are tasked with preparing students to utilize AI and think critically alongside it. So today in these few minutes, I will share how I incorporate AI into this simulation, the marketplace, that I love, by the way, to foster students' strategic thinking, agility, and decision-making skills. You will see that I base on frameworks such as Porter's Five Forces, the Dynamic Capabilities Framework, Lewin's Change Management Model. So this approach encourages students to utilize AI as, again, a strategic co-pilot rather than a replacement for data analysis. I will give you some practical classroom activities I use to combine AI-generated insights, of course, with experiential learning. And then I will give you some tips about some of the specific activities I use. I came up with this quote a long time ago, and it's very interesting to read. It talks about individuality, power to think and to do. And look at this, says, the men in whom these powers is developed are there, the men who bear responsibilities, who are leaders in enterprise, business, and who influence character. It is the work of true education to develop this power, to train the youth to be thinkers and not mere reflections of others' men's thoughts. Now, I adjusted that a little bit, and what I came up with was be thinkers. Education is about creating thinkers and not mere reflectors of AI's thought. So this line really sums up the heart of my approach. And we know that our goal isn't to teach students how to prompt AI more efficiently. It is to help them think more strategically, more critically, and more independently. Yes, AI can be an incredible partner in that process, but only if we teach students to engage with it and not echo it. I love the first presenter. She said about we need to use the Ferrari, right? We don't have to cover it. So the real challenge is how do we shape students to be thinkers and not mere reflectors of AI's thought? Again, let's talk about frameworks, reflection, and critiques, and about these systems. Now, to make AI integration meaningful, I anchor it in strategic frameworks students already know or are learning to apply. With Forest Five Forces, students use AI to analyze industry competition, of course, and test strategic responses. I asked them to apply the dynamic capabilities framework that supports agility, adaptability. So it seems like students use the AI to sense changes in the market and as they try to reconfigure decisions accordingly, right, every quarter. And then I use the Lewin's change model to align with the simulation rounds, where AI helps students explore changes during the change phase. And then on the right, you can see some of the classroom activities I designed to embed AI use. So I asked them to do a forces map, challenging students to refine or refute AI's market analysis. I do a SWOT showdown. I want ask students to compare their own SWOT with AI's and defend the differences. And then another tool I use is the decision memos, requiring students to cite and critique AI if used. And finally, another tool I use is the boardroom role play, making one student the AI assistant, creating that way rich discussion and critique around AI generated strategies. Now, this slide captures the progression I see in students' use of AI throughout the course. At first, they treat AI as a shortcut, right? Copying outputs without critique. We know they are doing that. But then at the mid course, they start using it to brainstorm, test assumptions. By the way, one of the biggest dangers in strategy formulation has to do with assumptions. And I always tell the students you need to challenge your own assumptions. And they can use AI or they can use me as well, right, to do that. And of course, at the mid course, they explore those options as well. But at the end, ideally, they challenge the AI. Fascinating. So they recognize its limitations and refine its input using strategy tools and, of course, the real data that is provided by marketplace simulation. All this aligns with Kolb's experiential learning cycle, right? Students move from concrete experience to reflective observation and abstract conceptualization. On the right, you will see the wins and pitfall. That's a given. What is working? Well, AI encourages strategic creativity, prompts critical reflection, improves how students explain and justify their decisions. But the challenges remain. Over reliance on AI, generic responses, lack of contextual feed, especially when AI advice doesn't reflect simulation dynamics. So interesting. And I want the students to realize that. So these issues are why structured critique is so important. Now, let me start with a question again. If your students had access to a powerful AI advisor during the simulation, how would their strategic thinking evolve? We are interested in the mindset, right? If students had access to an AI strategist, will their decisions get better or faster or just faster? So I'm curious about that, and I hope to research around it. So we know AI is reshaping how decisions are made in business. There's no question about it. But instead of removing the human element, I'm seeing that it's shifting it, toward judgment, interpretation, and of course, a strategy. So that's why I believe students need to learn how to collaborate with AI, not blindly follow it. So in simulations like Marketplace, where decisions unfold in real time, AI becomes a tool. I told the students, a tool for rapid experimentation and also feedback and iteration. So it's so interesting around those points. And again, I would not spend too much time on this, but basically, when I use Porter's five forces, I ask them to analyze the industry and pay attention to the competition. When they use dynamic capabilities, frame the strategy as a cycle, right? And the simulation. AI then becomes a tool to help students think through those phases. And then I use Lewin's change model to help students reflect on how they adapt between the simulation rounds. Now, these four activities that I mentioned before are designed to deepen engagement and, of course, promote critical thinking. So rather than using AI to replace student work, we use it as a contrast point to sharpen their own analysis. So that's why I love all those four activities that you can see on the board, and I just mentioned briefly. So these exercises, I believe, elevate the learning by emphasizing the gap between what we call automation or AI right now and judgment, right? And helping the students navigate the space thoughtfully. I do use workflows. I don't have time to go through that, but workflows are very interesting. And I share some of the workflows with students as well, since they may be new into using chat in that particular sense. All right. This slide, as you can see, captures the evolution I see in student thinking over the course of the simulation. Again, at the start, students often use AI as a shortcut, right? Quick answers, not questioning the logic. The middle of the quarter, they begin to see AI more as a brainstorming tool. I do that also in class, and I, on purpose, during class time, I ask them, let's go to chat and input your data. Let's ask the following questions, and I ask you to brainstorm. And they still use it, but now it is one of the several voices in the room, right? It's not only one. And then at the end, the best students treat AI as a strategic co-pilot, helpful, but they realized AI is not in charge. They ask better questions, push back against generic advice, and justify decisions with real evidence that is provided by, of course, the simulation. So this again reflects Kolb's idea of experiential learning. All right. So you will ask, what is working and what is not working? What is working is students ideate faster and more strategically. I love that. That's what is working quite well. Students also reflect more deeply, right? It's not just assumption. It's just not just the first idea that comes to mind of what they need to do. And AI, of course, helps resolve internal debates. Now they are collaborating, and then the feedback is also at hand. But challenges exist. Over-reliance on AI, generic responses, groupthink around AI outputs. They think it is that what they need to do and is provided by AI. So to counter this, I require critique. Yes, students can use AI, but they must argue with it too. Another presenter mentioned they need to dialogue with the AI, and that's something that students need to pay attention to. All right, final takeaways. AI can supercharge strategic education, and I love it. But only we embed it with a structure, and again, reflective process. Takeaways: one, use classic frameworks as guardrails. In this case, Michael Porter's five forces, the simulation, the policy, strategic management and policy, in particular, uses the framework of the genetic strategies, also by Michael Porter. So I also incorporate that into the discussion. Two, design activities that demand critique, right? It's not just information, digest it. We talk about critical thinking. Three, let AI challenge, not replace student thinking. And four, we need to guide students towards seeing AI as a co-pilot and not as a driver. As a result, students who are more agile and more reflected and better prepared for modern strategic leadership. I love it. I hope we can keep the discussion forward. And thank you, everybody, for sharing your insights as well with me. That's my contact information. If you want to take a screenshot or scan, the QR code is my LinkedIn page. More than happy to connect with you.